What up, though, everybody, and welcome to Lions Nation Unite on YouTube. My name is Spencer Exter of the Woodward Heavyweights. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Really appreciate you guys for tapping in. And give a follow to Lions Nation Unite on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Make sure you're keeping up with everything we do, because Lions Nation Unite is a collective created by Herman to bring different content creators from all over the world together about the Detroit Lions. We got guys from the UK, we got guys from Australia, we guys got here in Detroit. Whatever you need coverage-wise on the Detroit Lions, you know that Lions Nation Unite should be your first stop, and make sure you go to lionsnationunite.com to get some great merch. Now, today we're going to do something, and Pete Prisco of CBS, he went out there and he ranked his top 100 players in the NFL right now, and as no surprise to anyone, a lot of Detroit Lions made that list. And Sam Laporta and Brian Branch, they were thrown at the end. I believe Sam Laporta was like 87. Brian Branch was in the mid-60s or something like that. Nothing too crazy for either of those guys. Obviously, Sam Laporta, who took somewhat of a step back from his rookie season to his sophomore year. I think he's rated pretty adequately. Same with Brian Branch. I think Brian Branch could be a whole lot higher on this list, but because of the injuries and him not playing a full season, he kind of took a back shadow to his running mate Kirby Joseph last year. And I mean, if you look at the stats, Brian Branch still probably should have been an all-pro safety, but that is here nor there. I think I'm not mad with where they put Brian Branch, just because he doesn't have the awards and the recognition just yet. But I think next year he's really going to show that he deserves a spot inside the top 30 of a list like this. But we're going to start with the disrespect that was there first. Amon-Ra St. Brown, now a two-time first-team All-Pro wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, undoubtedly the best slot player in the league, one of the best wide receivers per anything in the league when you look at touchdowns, yardage, catches, yards per catch, all that good stuff over his career, especially the past two seasons. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been right at the top of the NFL in all of those. But Pete Prisco has Amon-Ra St. Brown sitting there at number 58. 58. We're going to speak about another number 58 later in this list. But Pete says Amon-Ra St. Brown finished second in the league with 115 catches in 2024 with 12 touchdowns. He is a chain mover with 61.3% of his catches going for first downs. And you see it right there that last season, old Petey had him ranked number 39. So Amon-Ra St. Brown has another first-team All-Pro season in the NFL, and he's dropped down 20 slots by old Pete Prisco. Now, I was going to come into this like calm and try to dissect some of the reasoning on why he would do things like this, why he would put Detroit Lions lower than everybody knows they should be. But moving Amon-Ra St. Brown down 20 spots in your rankings from the year before, after he has another first-team All-Pro season, there's nothing you can say to defend that. Nothing that you can fathom would make me believe that Amon-Ra St. Brown is 20 slots worse than he was last year, after he was, again, one of the three best receivers in the NFL. So, Petey boy, if you want to come out and say a reasoning why Amon-Ra St. Brown fell so heavily in your list, or why you think he's the 58th best player in the NFL, I don't know. I mean, maybe Pete's just looking out for us because he knows our guys are bulletin board material type guys. And he just wanted to give Amon-Ra St. Brown something to hold on to. I don't know. But you see there, again, at number 60 on this list as well is Kirby Joseph. Joseph led the league in picks last season with 9, and he had his breakout season that earned him All-Pro honor, first-team All-Pro honors, and he's still just 24 years old. So, again, this is a top 100 list, right? This is the top 100 players in the league right now. There are not 59 better players in this league than Kirby Joseph right now. There isn't. Look at what he did last year. Again, first team All-Pro, much like Amon-Ra St. Brown, meaning he was the best player at his position. So having him ranked 60 when he led the NFL in opposing quarterback rating when targeted, when he led the NFL in pass deflections, when he led the NFL in interceptions, when he led the NFL in completion percentage allowed, there's not much here Pete could do to make me believe that Kerby Joseph is the 60th best player in the NFL. You know, interceptions and taking the ball away are extremely important when it comes to winning football games, and nobody in the league has done it more than Kerby Joseph since he entered the league, and nobody did it last year. He led the league in interceptions. Petey, not off to a great start. Not off to a great start. Now let's see his next Lion on this list. Right there, all the way up at 32. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown was down at 58. 32 for Jahmyr Gibbs. He says Gibbs rushed for 1,412 yards with 52 catches and 20 touchdowns in his 2024, emerging as a big play threat. In the Lions offense, he's a prototypical airback who excels in space. So I don't know, Prisco, yeah, okay. I think he was his second ranked running back, which that makes sense. That's good. That is true. He's at the very least the second best running back in the NFL. But what he said right there kind of pissed me off. Am I being too sensitive here, chat? Let me know if I'm just being too defensive of our guys. But saying a prototypical airback who excels in space gives me the feeling that you think he's kind of a gadget guy. I don't know if you saw Jahmyr Gibbs when David Montgomery was not available for this team, but he was not just a prototypical airback. He was a bell cow. He was doing everything that he needed to do. He was averaging an insane amount of yards per catch. He was running between the tackles. He was running outside of the tackle box. Yes, he does well in space because he's one of the most fast, elusive players in the NFL, but he will also tote the rock between the tackles. So to have him listed as this prototypical airback and excelling in space, it kind of feels like a slight to me. Maybe I'm being too protective there. Maybe that's just me kind of freaking out and being too protective, because Jahmyr Gibbs, I believe, is the best running back in the league. If you gave him the amount of carries and the amount of touches that Saquon did, I think you would put up just as good, if not better numbers in an offense. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of, if not the most explosive players in the NFL, not just a elite airback who excels well in space. Like, Pete, watch these games and watch Jahmyr Gibbs, please, before you make these blatant comments about him that are just, I feel like it's disrespectful. Maybe it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. I don't know. I took it as a slight. And next on the list, here we go. Aiden Hutchinson. All right, that's showing some respect. That's showing some respect there. You got Aiden Hutchinson at number 15. Hutchinson was on his way to possibly being the Defensive Player of the Year in 2024 before suffering a fractured tibia and fibula injuries in Week 6 against Dallas. Hutchinson was a menace before the injury, already totaling 7.5 sacks before that injury. Last season, they had him at 47, and Pete bumped him up to 15. Now, that I am excited with. That I like. The respect for Aiden Hutchinson is there, because I'm not going to be mad that he's only at 15, because obviously the injury derailed his season, and he probably would have been much higher if he would have finished the season, which probably would have resulted in him being Defensive Player of the Year. But because of the injury, they bumped him down a little bit. This one I'm fine with. You see the players he's around. Derrick Henry. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't the second running back on this list, because Derrick Henry's right there at 14. Derrick Henry, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson. 3 great players. You know, right outside of the top 10, top 50. So, you know, Shirley, I know what you're all thinking. You know, Spencer, don't call me Shirley. Shirley, Penei Sewell has to be higher than that, right? Well, let's look at that again. The top 15. This is right here. Aiden Hutchinson at 15. All right. Henry at 14. Jordan Mailata, very good tackle at number 13. Lane Johnson, very good tackle. Plays in the same division and the same spot as Penei Sewell at number 12. Last season he was 52, and last season Jordan Mailata was not ranked. Last season he had Derrick Henry at 91 for some reason. This is just awful rankings by Pete Prisco. But you think, okay, that's where's Penei Sewell, Spencer? Spenny, where's Penei Sewell? Spenny, enough. Where's Penei Sewell? All right. You're at here is where Pete Prisco has Penei Sewell ranked in his top 100. Number 21. Number 21 in the NFL. He says Sewell is in the conversation for best right tackle in the league. You know, being a two-time first-team All-Pro, I think that would put you in that conversation. He's good in both the run game and protecting for Jared Goff. He said he's getting stronger this year to improve. That's scary. Again, Penei Sewell last year was number 17. And this year he is number 21 after having another first-team All-Pro season. This means Pete Prisco has Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Creed Humphrey, and Tristan Wirfs. That's 4 offensive linemen, all ranked ahead of Penei Sewell. Now, okay, I already freaked out about this on heavyweights. I already got up and screaming and shouting and yelling and I just want to talk about how dumb this is right now. Again, let's go back to it. Jordan Mailata, unranked last year. Unranked. He's at 13 after one season for Pete Prisco. His one season. Lane Johnson, number 52 last season. Number 52. Now he's 12. He had a great year for sure. Both of them had great years. Penei Sewell was a first-team All-Pro, meaning he was the best right tackle in football. That's what that means, that he was the best right tackle in football. Now, how you can have another right tackle not only ranked higher than him in this list, but Penei Sewell falls down 4 spots and Lane Johnson jumps up 40. You cannot look at me with a straight face and tell me that Lane Johnson was that much better than Penei Sewell last year, that you dropped Penei Sewell down and you jumped Lane Johnson up 40 spots. Now, Pete Prisco, if you didn't know who Lane Johnson was until last year, that's why you had him ranked so low, that's fine. That I can understand. But there is not a single thing about Lane Johnson's season last year when it comes to individual play and individual player ranking, which is what this is. Because, you know, this is a top 100 list. So it's top 100 players in the NFL right now, not top 100 players who had great careers or top 100 players who won Super Bowls last year. It is top 100 players in the NFL right now. So you taking Penei Sewell, who again had a first-team All-Pro season, bumping him down 4 spots, yet moving up Lane Johnson, who was not first-team All-Pro at right tackle, the same position that Penei Sewell plays, 40 spots is just absolutely disgusting. I mean, I know that we shouldn't be getting too worked up about stuff like this anymore because Lions fans, we've been through it a lot. We're finally getting respect, but I'm sorry. If there is one man in this organization that I will not allow to be disrespected, it is that man right there. It is our tribal chief, and it is Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is the most valuable and best non-quarterback in the NFL. Argue with a wall. Again, back-to-back first-team All-Pro selection. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure something real quick so I'm not just spewing BS here. Because I just like, Petey, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Yeah, okay. And Lane Johnson. Let me see this real quick. So, Lane Johnson. Pete, stay with me real quick. Pete Prisco. This might be hard for you to keep up with. This logic and rationale might be hard for you to keep up with. Penei Sewell plays right tackle, where he was awarded the position first-team All-Pro, not just last year, but the year before that. Meaning, Pete, in the National Football League, Penei Sewell is the best right tackle, right? And Lane Johnson, who's a fantastic player, Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, two-time Super Bowl champion, he plays right tackle too. And not just this year, but last year, he was voted second team All-Pro, meaning he is the second best right tackle in the NFL behind only Penei Sewell. But you're saying he was so much better last year when he was a second team All-Pro than he was 2 years ago when he was also a second team All-Pro, that not only did you move him up 40 spots in your ranking, you put him ahead of the guy who went back-to-back first-team All-Pros at that position. It doesn't make sense any way you explain it. It's probably the dumbest thing and the littlest softball I've ever seen. Jordan Mailata, you didn't even have ranked last year, and you put him ahead of Penei Sewell, who was a back-to-back first-team All-Pro. You're wrong. That's all it is. This is wrong. Jordan Mailata and or Lane Johnson and or Creed Humphrey are not better than Penei Sewell. If you want to say Tristan Wirfs, if the only person on this list, offensive lineman-wise, that was ahead of Penei Sewell was Tristan Wirfs, I would have been able to stomach it. But, Pete, you just had to go and be an idiot. You really did, Petey. You just had to go and do things that make absolutely no sense when you look at them by any logical means, other than your feelings. So, Pete, just get out of here, man. Just stop doing these, because it's not good and it's incorrect. I don't know what else to say at that. I don't want to get too worked up because I feel like it's bad for my heart. Dealing with idiots like this who obviously have no idea what they're talking about. Like, Pete, you've been around a while. You've watched a lot of football, I'm sure. There's no way you're that stupid. Literally no way you're this stupid. This is something a kindergartner could understand. Saying, hey, little Timmy, this guy was first place the past 2 years. He was first place, meaning nobody was better than him. And this guy in that same thing was second place the past 2 years behind him. So who is better? Little Timmy would say, well, obviously it's the guy that was first place the past 2 years. So, Petey, it's time to hang him up, bud. Sorry. This is bad. This is negligent, and it's irresponsible. Oh, man, it really hurts. But whatever you got to do to keep your name in people like mine's mouths, pause. You're a hack, Pete. I'm sorry. This is bad. This is really bad. But appreciate all you guys tapping in. Hopefully, Penei Sewell sees this and he becomes even more of a monster next year. I made this also, like, Lane Johnson. This is by no means to poo-poo on Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson is a fantastic player. He is a Hall of Famer, no doubt. He is probably the second best right tackle in football right now. But he's not better than Penei Sewell. There are things that Penei Sewell does on a football field that Lane Johnson physically cannot do because he is not athletic enough and because he does not have the same skill set that Penei Sewell does. And Penei Sewell can do everything that Lane Johnson does on a football field at the same or a better level. So, again, there is nothing that you can do to convince me that Lane Johnson right now is a better player than Penei Sewell. Again, career-wise, legacy-wise, Super Bowl champion-wise, sure. Yes. Do you want to say that Lane Johnson has had a better career than Penei Sewell? Yes, he has. Obviously, I think Penei's will be better when he rounds it out because right now, Lane Johnson is probably the greatest right tackle of all time. I don't think that's going out on a ledge to say that. But he's not the best right tackle in the league. And once he retires, It's only a matter of time before Penei Sewell takes that title of greatest right tackle of all time from him and never looks back. So please, Pete, for yourself, for your shame, just stop doing these lists. And I'll thank you. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Make sure you smash that like button. I am Spencer Axter of the Woodward Heavyweights. This is Lions Nation Unite. Subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Follow Lions Nation Unite on X, Instagram, or Facebook. And make sure you go to lionsnationunite.com to get the greatest merch in the game. It's Lions Nation Unite. I am Spencer Axter of the Woodward Heavyweights. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.